they said they saw the white Elantra speeding on the surveillance video footage from the gas station.
The store.
But if you look at the time, and London had talked about this on her TikTok, it was not way before, but if they were speeding way before these murders happened, there was a lot of minutes that had to be accounted for. So my question is, was this person that might have been in the white Elantra that might have done this trying to get caught by police because they've been caught by police in this area before and saying, well, if I get caught, then it's a no-go. It wasn't in God's will in their brain, because that's how they think. So they have to think that way, but
maybe. I don't feel like he would, Kohberger person, I don't feel like he would think that way, because I believe in his mind he is God. And that's probably why he was speeding, because he just had a complete lack of give a.
But like speeding to where? So then you could just keep going your rounds and rounds and rounds, because according to the affidavit, we know what time the murders happen, right?
Right.
So anyways, the state's latest filing admits that somewhere within all of this, they engaged in investigative, and this is in quotes, investigative genetic genealogy, using the DNA taken from the button of the sheath, and now claims that it was due to the use of this technique that it tipped local law enforcement to investigate Mr. Kohberger. It remains unclear what the police first relied on in focusing their investigation on Mr. Kohberger. It remains unclear what the police first relied on.
I feel like they made it pretty clear what they were relying on whenever they had ideas that it was Kohberger.
But also, what was given to the defense? I'm talking as like a defense attorney, even though I'm fucking not. But what was given to them that led them to believe, like, how do you know it's Kohberger? What about all the other people? But
you know, as we read the document, I gotta be honest. I want to hear. It's really difficult for me to not understand where the defense is coming from, because you can ask yourself, it really is, because I at first I was like, oh, well, maybe they were able to track Kohberger, because I think the biggest question is what made them think it was him. If there were all of these unknown DNAs, if they pulled it through the national FBI database, whether they made a connection or not, if Kohberger wasn't in the system, then what made them think it was him? And so a big part of it was the car, right? They see the car on multiple surveillance footage, and then they find the car in Washington, and it was speculated. That's how they, not even speculated, they stated that that is what led them to him in the first place. Well, how many freaking Hyundai Elantras, are you kidding me? How many people do you think own a white Hyundai Elantra? Like, get out of here. So not only that, though,
sit there after that came out and you just noticed every white Hyundai Elantra around you?
Everywhere. Yes.
Constantly.
But like, and then I thought, okay, well, maybe they found him because, like we were talking about earlier, they did find a match for the DNA in another missing persons case, crime scene, what have you. But if he wasn't in the system, it still begs the question, how did they know it was him?
Like I love to say on TikTok, and make it make sense.
It really doesn't make sense. It doesn't.
Thank you. Hello.
I do feel like they are asking a very genuine question, which in this entire document, the question is the same. How did they come to the conclusion that it was Kohberger when they didn't have him in the database and couldn't pull him from DNA? Were they able to eventually match his DNA to family members? Obviously, but How did they know it was him before that?
Did someone else give their DNA, or did I don't know. I find it weird. And it was so spot on the freaking money. I mean, come on, man. I think the defense is doing their job. She is a damn good, I'll say that. She is a damn good defense attorney.
I was saying that to my mother-in-law because she works in law, and you know, she was reading the document and she was just like, oh my God, this is actually really bad for the prosecution because what it presents is reasonable doubt. And, you know, it's strong enough that if they argue it well enough, and if the prosecution doesn't have some bombshell under their sleeve, which personally I think they do, I think the evidence against him is going to be damning. But if they don't, this is going to be a problem.
Or that it could be multiple people that were doing this. And it just helps get him off of at least the death penalty.
Yeah, and it was rumored. I don't know if it was ever confirmed that he had asked if he was the only one who had been arrested in this case.
So that was a big thing. When he was arrested, he allegedly said, was anybody else arrested? Then a while after, that was already in media outlets, whatever it might be, they retracted that statement and said,
yes,
no, he didn't. But
why say it in the first place?
Exactly. Where did that come from? Did
and
it get pulled?
It's annoying how much information they released in the beginning that they have now redacted and been like, oh no, we didn't say that. No, that wasn't part of it. Or, you know, what are you doing?
Think about when I know you probably remember this. I posted a video and it went viral. And I don't say things go viral unless it's millions, whatever. I posted a video and I said, I genuinely believe that when he got pulled over in whatever state it was, when him and his dad were taking that little cross country road trip, I said, I think he was pulled over on purpose. If he would have fled, they would have been able to take him into custody because he was afraid. He didn't. So then 9 minutes later, he gets pulled over again.
Didn't they say that it was on purpose? Didn't they confirm that it was?
They said it was on purpose. Then they said it was not. Just so happens that after I post that, it goes viral within an hour. Media outlets are like, this happened, Some of them used my video, right? And then a week and a half later, they're like, no. Of course they're going to say no. You can't pull somebody over for no reason. That's illegal. You cannot pull somebody over for no effing reason. It's illegal.
Right.
I could say it because I don't work under CNN. I don't work under Fox. I don't work under any entity. I work for my goddamn self.
Right.
And I can say what the fuck I want, whether it pisses people off or not. So I genuinely think that pisses people off, aka the media, that we could say whatever the fuck we want when we want and our opinions, and we're not under some umbrella. We're not being paid by Big Pharma or anything like that. We're not putting in a hidden media bias. I don't know what the fuck a hidden media bias is at this point when I'm speaking. I do know when I'm reading this. You do know when you're reading this shit. Like, let's BFFR for a second, okay? I'm just going to read this. And you're going to tell me, hidden media bias or not? The lack of disclosure and their motion to protect the genealogy investigation, lack thereof. We're still pushing that hidden media bias. A hidden media bias is throwing in words, you guys, that's going to make you believe a certain narrative. Every goddamn news station does it. If you think that your favorite news station is just it, bro, learn how to read between the goddamn lines. The
or don't
state
watch it at all.
Don't. The state is hiding its entire case. Hiding? Yeah, you could use that word. Sure. Because maybe they are keeping some information for themselves so they could throw bombshells out, like you said. Like they use the words bizarrely, faulty, all these kind of things. Wild. Y'all are not doing this back and forth bullshit for anybody besides us, because you guys know that we are digging down deep.
Yeah, and the bias goes both ways, because
it does.
I kind of feel like the defense is like, you know what, like this has been, you know, anti my client this entire time, and we've had practically no evidence in his favor, so now we're going to play the game. We're going to say what we want to say.
The state apparently thinks that they need not explain how they came to think that it was Mr. Kohberger's DNA on the sheath. Presumably, the defense is expected to accept at face value that, in fucking court documents, anyways, that the sheath had touch DNA just waiting for testing by all the FBI's myriad resources. Additionally, the defense is to guess, keyword guess, whether the state focused its investigation on Mr. Kohberger via a bizarrely complex DNA tree experiment, bitch. That's what they said. Or through its faulty identification of the vehicle involved in the case. What?
I wonder if they mean faulty because they got the year wrong.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I already talked shit on that. That's at what time in the affidavit they said, oh yeah, this person with all this experience, 30 plus years experience, forensic, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not trying to say that Kohberger is like wipe his hands, he's good.
Right.
I'm just saying that you're going to sit here and say, this guy has all this experience. Da, 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 da. At first, he thought it was this year. Then later on, blah, blah, blah. And then we found at what point when you were able to pin somebody down, I get where the defense is coming from.
No, totally. And that was weird from the very beginning. Like even Tony was like, that's so odd, because you know he works with the police all the time, and what he does, I mean, all the time. Normally you would see a statement like, we're looking for a 2012 to 2015, you know, white Hyundai Elantra, because there's no way in hell you can make out what year that car is. I could totally see how somebody could nab down the model. To me, it looked exactly like what it is. But yeah, the year, that was weird. And then of course they got it wrong.
Put it in the affidavit.
Right.
Leave that shit out. You had 19 pages.
And I do kind of agree with the genealogy thing being an experiment, because it's not a finite test for anyone.
It says, perhaps unsurprisingly, Mr. Kohberger does not accept that his defense does not need this information. It rather obviously falls within ambit of Rule 16b, 4, and 5, a fact the state's briefing makes clear in its kitchen sink approach to the briefing.
I mean, it was a little messy. I mean, it was a little messy.
Woo! Woo! The state begins their argument claiming Rule 16 has no interest in IgG testing, and then ends their argument claiming that somehow people will stop sharing their genetics if they were to realize the government is watching. Both arguments must fail.
That's why a lot of people don't do 23andMe and Ancestry. I have several family members who said, I will never do that because I don't want to be framed for a crime.
Same.
Like flat out. And I'm like, what did you do?
Right?
They're like nothing.
Do anything because if I my DNA, I'm gonna be at a crime scene one day and I don't even realize I'm at it. Like
all of this aside, like you said, bias being the key word in any format, social media, whatever. There's still a lot of evidence against him.
There's so much.
I still believe that he
did it. Is there?
Yes. There is a lot of evidence against him when they were able to go back and like track his location, his whereabouts, him falling off the grid. It doesn't matter. That's what it boils down to is he going to walk? Is he going to be another Casey Anthony? Is he going to be an OJ? Is he going to get away with it? Maybe, but do I personally, from everything I've looked up and researched and read about and seen, watching this unfold, believe that he did it? I do.
Do you think that Brian Kohberger was alone when committing these crimes?
I do, but I also fully understand the argument that he wasn't, and I've said that before. It would maybe make a little more sense. I wish the roommates would speak a little more, but I can't speak on that, and I won't. But I do think that he did. I think it is really odd. You know, the thing that always sticks out to me is they were able to track him, and he turned off his phone right after. He disappeared for hours. He was in the area. He was deep in the forest, obviously trying to hide evidence, in my opinion. You know, there's a lot of damning evidence against him. His own family members were suspicious of him. And the character witnesses that came forward after the fact and spoke on his character and how kind of weird and creepy he was, just the general vibe that he gave. Plus this, you know, the Dana Smithers case, it really does make me wonder if when they ran the DNA through the database, if he wasn't a direct match to evidence found at that crime scene, because there are many, many missing persons, many cold cases in Pennsylvania. So for that one specifically to be plucked out of thin air, obviously they found something. I think the state is being smart in hiding a lot of their evidence. They don't have to show the defense all of the evidence. This is how court works. This is how it works.
I feel a whole different type of way about that. In the Kohberger case, they're not giving evidence. Why? Or they're not sharing any information. Why? Because they don't like to be pressed by people.
No, I don't think they want the defense to be able to formulate a false argument and get him off.
I think they have all the false argument that they can.
Well, I mean, this one's pretty damning, but it really is just them questioning. But that's the other thing we have to remember. Just because they are saying all of this, and as much as it does make me go, you know, like it really does make
triggers your brain.
It does, but they're basing this document is based on basically everything that the prosecution has that they don't know about is what they're pissed about it.
I'm not saying he didn't do it. What I'm saying is that he might be able to get away with it.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying too. I think, you know, if this is the argument that they're going to lead with, if they don't have a bombshell plethora of evidence, you know, to prove their case, then yeah, he could. Reasonable doubt. That's all you need. That is all you need, a shadow of a doubt.